Hey guys, this is Anon Shimpy from AnonTech.com. I've got RIM's BlackBerry PlayBook in front of me here. This is a 7-inch tablet, so 7 inches on the LCD screen, 1024 by 600 resolution. It's got a TI OMAP 4430 inside, so that's a dual-core Cortex A9 running at up to 1 gigahertz, paired with an Imagination Technologies SGX, PowerVR SGX 540. You can look at this in terms of raw CPU and GPU horsepower of something that's kind of comparable to NVIDIA's Tegra 2. Definitely comparable on the CPU side to Apple's iPad 2, not quite as fast on the GPU. This is RIM's first tablet. It's hopefully not going to be their last, and what RIM tells us is that you shouldn't look at this as the only form factor that they believe is correct. So the 7-inch form factor, obviously it's really, really great for portability. You can see just how small this thing is. But RIM says that you should expect to see things both smaller and larger as time goes on. This is definitely a foot in the door product, not the end all be all. To put form factor into perspective, here's a iPad 2, so 9.7 inch 1024 by 768 versus 7 inch 1024 by 600, much higher pixel density over here. You'll notice that both of those devices and pretty much all tablets have this kind of thick bezel around the edge. And what RIM decided to do was actually put that bezel to use. So you'll notice there's no home button on here or anything like that. If you want to unlock the device, you can hit the power button up top, or you can start in the bezel, gesture upwards. That's the unlock gesture. There are more gestures. Unfortunately, there isn't a lock gesture, but that's just one of them. Here we have the full home screen. And a pretty normal gesture, swipe up, swipe down to scroll through it. If I want to bring up system settings, swipe down. If I want to bring up the keyboard, and I can do this in any app, swipe up from the lower left corner. You'll see on this, one of the downsides to the 7-inch form factor is that keyboard takes up a lot of space. So this is actually even less suitable for doing a lot of typing than, say, an iPad. Thankfully, Bluetooth keyboards do work with it, so if you do want to do a lot of typing, it is something you can do. And you've got this little button here to hide the keyboard. There are actually a couple more gestures that I need to show you, but I can't show you them from this screen, so let's go ahead and fire up an application. This is the PlayBook browser. So it's based on the same Iris browser that was used in the Torch, just been tweaked, enhanced, improved all over the place. So while it's bringing up a web page, let's say I want to know what time it is, or get access to settings, or what have you. If I do that same swipe down gesture, you'll see I get tabs. I can create a new tab here. I get options, but these are all app specific now. If I want to take a peek at current time, signal strength, or get access to system settings, I kind of do this corner gesture. So RIM calls it a peek gesture, and you can do it in either corner. And there you've got current battery life, bring low there. You can pull up the settings page, signal strength, Bluetooth, orientation lock, and then this is your notification area. So right now there isn't much that'll pop up there. You'll see things like low battery warnings will pop up there, and right here we actually have some BlackBerry bridge notifications, but I'll get to those in a moment. And then a tap on the application takes you back there. So there's actually one more gesture that I need to show you, and that's the multitasking gesture. So let's say we want to start up another app. Under iOS, you would double tap the home button or tap it once to get to the home screen. Here, you just swipe up, and you get a very, very WebOS-like experience. So let's fire up the Pictures app. You'll see all apps start in that same way. They kind of start as a thumbnail, zoom in full screen, and then start up. So here we have the Pictures app. Now let's say I want to go to the last app I was running. I can either do this, and you can see it's very, very fast, very, very smooth. That's one of the benefits of QNX as far as RIM's concerned. Everything is extremely predictable in terms of performance. Now you'll see that there's some areas where that's not the case, unfortunately, but it's for the most part that is how this OS works. It's very, very smooth. Everything's rendered at 60 frames a second. With a few exceptions that I'll get to shortly. So anyways, that's one way of multitasking. The other way is to do this swipe gesture from left to right, just starting in the bezel. It's kind of neat, and it makes multitasking a lot easier on this platform than on other platforms. And to close an app, you can either hit that X, or you can just Swipe it up and out of there. Again, very, very WebOS-like. I'm not going to complain. It's not really the most original thing, but I've really wanted people to copy WebOS ever since I saw it. So this is a win as far as I'm concerned. The next thing I really want to talk about is BlackBerry Bridge. So here I've got a torch. It's a standard torch. It's running a BlackBerry Bridge app. It's a free download from the App Store. From BlackBerry App World. And you'll see that in settings, we've got Bridge paired with that. So the 9800 here is paired via Bluetooth with a 256-bit AES encrypted link layer on top of that. And what that lets me do is run BlackBerry Bridge apps. So this lets me run messaging, calendar, contacts, MemoPad, tasks, and the Bridge browser. These apps are physically stored on the PlayBook, but all of the data, all of the content comes from the torch, from the BlackBerry. The data is never physically stored on the PlayBook. When it's resident in memory, it's encrypted in memory. When you break that bridge connection, all the data goes away. The point to all of this is that it doesn't violate any existing security protocols that you might have. So if you have a work-issued BlackBerry and everything on there is secure, you can bring the PlayBook into your work environment as long as there are no issues with that, and use it as basically a large touchscreen to access the content that's on your BlackBerry. All data that happens in any of these BlackBerry Bridge apps, all data accesses, incoming and outgoing, all of that goes through BIS or BES through your BlackBerry. So you're not actually using Wi-Fi at this point. You're only using your BlackBerry's encrypted internet connection. It's a huge selling point for enterprise users, basically. So if we were launching messages, you'll see it's not quite as fast. And let's launch the Bridge browser. Launch MemoPad. And you'll see the frame rate isn't quite as good. I don't have any contacts on that BlackBerry, but if I did, that's where they would go. And you can also run all of these apps in tandem with normal PlayBook apps. So here I have the PlayBook browser, and I'm browsing an OnTech on it. So this is going over the Wi-Fi connection. See, we have awesome signal strength. And if I go over here to the Bridge browser, oops. You can pull up an OnTech via the Bridge browser, which again is going over Bluetooth, 256-bit AES encrypted, to the torch, which is then using its BIS service to go out to the internet. So obviously it's not going to be as fast, but it's fully encrypted. So if I'm, at work doing super secure enterprise work stuff, I can run whatever or access whatever web pages I want to via the Bridge browser. And for all of my personal stuff, I can use the normal browser. Those are the main components, honestly, of the user experience of the PlayBook. I did want to talk about two more things. One is this case. So this is the convertible case. You just stick the BlackBerry in here. And it kind of works like a smart cover. There are no magnets at play, but it's super useful. So closed, it's kind of like a moleskin notebook. It's a very thick, kind of good quality material. And then, if you want, you have a little stand. It's kind of nice. Again, no magnets or anything like that, but it actually works really, really well. And then the other thing I want to talk about is this other accessory that RIM sent over, which is the rapid charge dock. So it just fits in there. And you'll notice on the bottom here, you got 3 ports. You got HDMI, USB, and this quick charge port. So quick charge port basically just delivers more current. You can get to 90% charge in 2 hours versus 3+ hours over USB, and a full charge in 3 hours versus 4. So there's, or it's 4+, but anyways, it's just much, much quicker. So those are the accessories. This is the PlayBook itself. You'll see it's a pretty barren design, pretty sleek, pretty functional, pretty solid. I wouldn't say that it's anything special, but it's also at the same time nothing too worth complaining about. The power button here isn't final, so final hardware will have this actually protrude out a little bit more because it's kind of a pain to hit right now. and you've got volume up, volume down, and play pause. 2 cameras, front facing. There's an LED notification there. At some point, we'll see that do more, but right now it just tells you when the thing's booting up. 5 megapixel rear camera. It's got a nice feel to it. Not incredibly thick. This is a 32 gig model. It's also going to be available in 16 and 64 gig models as well. But it's not exactly as thin as, say, the upcoming Samsung Galaxy Tab 8.9. Overall, it's a good attempt. It's not perfect. I think there are definite synergies to be exploited with, if you currently have a BlackBerry. The only really requirements for BlackBerry Bridge are that it's running BlackBerry OS 5.0 or 6.0. So that actually encompasses quite a bit of enterprise users already. For the general consumer, there are a lot of apps and a lot of tweaks that need to be done for this thing to actually make sense for the iPad or the Zoom consumer. One of the things is that if you don't have a BlackBerry, this thing doesn't ship with a thick email client, so you have to rely on webmail. A lot of the third-party apps aren't there. There's no Twitter, there's no Netflix, none of that's there. It's all coming, but it's not there yet. Overall, like I said, I think it's a nice attempt. I think we should just see how RIM does over the next year. We're expecting to see updates pretty frequently. In the past 6 days, I've had 2 updates on this device, and we'll see more before it actually goes live for sale on the 19th. RIM is promising, not committing to, but hinting at updates every 6 to 8 weeks. And honestly, that's what you have to do. If you want to play catch up, you need to just have a very, very aggressive update schedule. RIM is a big player in the market. I don't believe that this is fundamentally a 2-horse race yet. I think it's still anyone's game, and I think this is a long haul 5 to 10 year race. So I'm curious to see how it all turns out. And there you go. There's the playbook, and there's some of its UI for you. Thanks for watching.